is Lesley from Knit Graffiti Designs, and I just wanted to film a real quick video tutorial on how to weave in your ends with brioche knitting. Okay, so today I'm showing how to weave in ends on one color brioche. Okay, so you can see that it looks like the brioche stitches, right? Because you have these yarn overs here. Okay, but with one color brioche, all the stitches are in the same color, if that makes sense. So if you turn it over to the other side, the stitches look exactly the same. Okay, whereas in two color brioche, you would have the yarn overs in the opposite color. For example, I'm showing this on my Danita Sparks shawl, right? When you have two color brioche, you have these brioche knit stitches, which look like the V, like a traditional knit stitch. And then these are the yarn overs, and they're in the opposite color, right? So when you flip it to the other side, the brioche knit stitches are in the contrast color. So for instance, this is my shawl. This is the contrast color, and the yarn overs are in the main color. Opposite main color, and then the yarn overs are in the contrast color. Okay, so weaving in ends in brioche, it doesn't matter whether you're knitting one color brioche or two color brioche. This applies to both. So I had my needle threaded on this yarn, but this yarn I'm actually going to weave in into my I-cord, so I didn't want to show you that. So this is at the end of my shawl, okay? So I bound off my shawl. Obviously this works for any pattern that you're working on, whether it's a shawl, a hat, a sweater. So I'm just showing on a shawl because that's what I have. So I'm threading my yarn onto a tapestry needle, okay? And when I'm working with fingering weight yarn, I like to use smaller needles, but obviously you just use whatever you have on hand. And ends that are woven in with brioche, they can be woven in on either the main side, which is kind of the side that is going to probably be shown the most, or the contrast side. Okay, either way you do it, they're going to disappear. You're never going to see the ends again. I personally like to do it on the contrast side. Okay, so this with one color brioche, they look identical, the main side and the contrast side. But I'm going to do this on the contrast side. Okay, so I have my end. I like to leave very long ends. That's just me personally. I like the ends to be at least 6 inches long. So what you want to do is basically I would weave in the end with the same color of the yarn overs, okay? So obviously I have a black yarn, and I'm gonna weave it in to this black stripe right here. So if you're weaving in with two color brioche, then I would go just under the yarn overs on the contrast side. So like for this, I could weave in my yarn over both in the purple color and in this like turquoise color underneath these yarn overs. Okay, and it'll disappear. You seriously will not see it. But with one color brioche, I'm just going to be extra careful and just weave it in to the black. So what you want to do is, I'm going to kind of just get this yarn over to where I can go under some yarn overs. So what you want to do, might be hard to see in the black. Hopefully you can see it a little bit, and then I'll show you again with the white yarn. So what you want to do is just find the yarn overs, okay? So here's the kind of brioche knit stitch right here. Hopefully you can see it with the black yarn. And then here's the yarn overs that are kind of behind it, right? So here's a yarn over, here's a yarn over. So I'm just going to go under those yarn overs. I'm going to go under, because this is kind of a shorter stripe. It's not very big. I'm going to go down as many yarn overs as I can. And then I'm going to bring my needle underneath one of the stitches here, one of the knit stitches. So underneath both loops. And then I'm gonna go back up under these next yarn overs. And I'm gonna do that as many times as I can. Go back down these yarn overs. You kind of want to do it loosely, you know, don't pull too tight. Go underneath this stitch, back up these yarn overs, and just do that as many times as you feel comfortable. Like for me personally, I feel like that's enough. If you want to do more, you know, please feel free. So I cut my yarn. I'm leaving a little bit extra tail there. I'm gonna just kind of give it a tug to loosen it up. And then after I block it, you know, I'll wash it and I'll block it. I'll trim that end even more. But I like to leave it a little extra in case when I pull and tug, you know, it has enough space there to kind of loosen up. So now I'm gonna do the white one. Hopefully you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so since this one, I actually, you might tell, I carried it up a couple of stitches because I wasn't sure I was going to end the shawl here. So you can tell that I carried my yarn up the edge there. And that's kind of how the end is going to look when you're done weaving it in. And you can see on the main side, it's very invisible. You really can't see that end at all. So that was a nice way of carrying the yarn up. It's very similar. So I'm just going to bring this down back to the white through some of these yarn overs. I'm going to bring it over here because again, I want to find those yarn overs. Okay, so here I found some. I'm going to go down this, go over through that stitch, go back up. You can probably see these yarn overs a bit better in the white. I'm going to go back down. And there we go. So I'm feeling good about that. I'm gonna cut that yarn, give it a good tug. And I mean, you can already see the yarn really gets hidden kind of in between those stitches, and you really can't see it from either end. I mean, you can kind of see it here. Like, I mean, obviously if you look for it, you'll be able to see it, but it really disappears. And it's so fun. Like, I really love weaving ends in brioche. I actually look forward to it. So again, here I'll show you, I don't have an end with my 2-color brioche shawl, but I'll just show you what might be more noticeable. So let's pretend I have an end in here. So you would just go under these yarn overs here, you know, as many as you want, as many as you can. And so then just keep doing that all the way, you know, until your end doesn't have any left or until you feel comfortable. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you, and hopefully you look forward to weaving in your ends as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching, and please let me know if you have any questions in the, you know, comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.